Develop speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity.
We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. As if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy.
Silence! The great and powerful Oz knows why you have come.
You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature.
Don't give yourselves to brutes. Men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts.
And now, Reality Rants with Jason Bermas.
And who loves you? And who do you love?
Hey everybody, Jason Bermas here. It is Reality Rants with Red Voice Media. I got to admit, I do not feel fantastic. Now, not that I'm a pretty guy. I don't look great all the time. You can see the dark circles under my eyes. And honestly, I did get a lot of sleep last night. I've just been sweating, sick. I actually did record Mixed Martial Mindset. We didn't go live, but I recorded that. I haven't put it up yet. A bit too spicy for YouTube. I don't even know if we're going to have a segment for YouTube. I'm going to try to fish a segment out and pop that up there. That's going to be later today. But I'm sweaty. I'm gross. I'm not in prime form, but that's okay because we live in a cartoon, okay? The crazy is real. That's what I want to open with today because I'm a firm believer in crazy, period. I really, really am. I think that mental illness is real. I think it existed long before we had all these psychotropic drugs to quote unquote treat mental illness. I think that they've exacerbated that fact. But when people try to tell me that it's not real, all you need to do is look around. And this is just the craziest out of control story. Non-binary Biden nuclear official charged with stealing woman's 2.3K luggage at airport. Now, before I get into the numerous aspects of the cartoon we currently live in, and I mean, again, a man here in a dress with a mustache and a necklace, and somehow he's part of the upper echelons of the Department of Energy. Now, it's probably a good fit because if you don't know the history of the Department of Energy, a lot of these innocuous sounding organizations inside the bureaucracy are really tools of the military industrial complex. And the DOE in particular was part of massive human experimentation that is beyond grotesque, in my opinion. Just throwing that out there. Okay, so that's one aspect of this. Now, anyone who flies, okay, anyone who travels, you know that after a long flight, either getting somewhere or getting home, you just want to get your bags. You want to get the hell out of there. Anyone who would steal somebody else's luggage is the lowest of the low. It shows their character. You're already so wanting to move and get going. I mean, it's very rare that the airport experience is just top notch at this point. I've traveled a couple times now after all the mandates and Johnny Nonsense is over, and I still hate it. I'd much rather, in fact, I do drive the vast majority of the time, even if it's longer, because it's just a better experience. Someone that would do that is of the lowest of characters. Now, whatever happened to you're the best person for the job? First of all, no, I'm sorry. I don't believe in quote unquote non-binary, zeros and ones. Okay. Basically, if you want to have sex with both men and women, that's just bisexual to me. Call me old-fashioned. Call me old-fashioned. All right. This whole non-binary thing is a movement to transhumanism, to associate you as a human being with zeros and ones. That's all that is. That's 100% what that is. So you've got a system now that is just cartoon town, finding the lowest of the low, the people of really no integrity that are not qualified for the gig, other than possible, sociopathic tendencies. And you got to be a sociopath to steal someone else's luggage, steal some woman's luggage. That's what this person did. All right. Already has a, and I hate to go after people's appearances, but come on. There's a thing called crazy. Crazy exists. If you can't acknowledge that crazy is a real thing, the next these people are just out of control. Out of control. And I feel bad for Samuel Britton because, the dog people, right? Yeah, that's great. Obviously, as a child, something very traumatic happened to this person. Because to sit there and think that this person is the most qualified for their position, meanwhile, they're stealing people's luggage at the airport. It's cartoon level on the level of Joe Biden runs the country. I just saw earlier today the video of them in Nantucket, and literally they're walking down the street and just chants of "Let's go Brandon." Chants of "Let's go Brandon." That's how beloved Joe Biden is. 81 million votes. The most beloved president of all time. The most voted for president of all time. And you just got to accept it. You've got to play pretend. Because we're in pretend town now. You got to pretend that Anthony Fauci is the greatest guy ever. And by the way, I've got a ton of videos on the second end of this that we're gonna. I might torture you guys and do a watch along with Face the Nation. Most of it I can't play on YouTube. Period. So really, anything Faucian is generally gonna have to be in the second hour. Unfortunately, I want to put it out there, but you just can't on this channel. You have to bow down to Fauci because, Fauci, actually what I can play, and we are going to play. Let's see what we got here. Sorry, folks. Red Voice Producer. Podbean not up. Seems like it's on their end trying to fix it. Okay. All right. Okay, so there we go. No big deal. Dr. Fauci has his own child's book. Okay? This is that is something we can play. This is the reality you're supposed to accept, that people love Dr. Fauci. Okay?
Time to get uplifted. Today we are featuring a well-known D.C. resident. In fact, he's been the face of America's response to the coronavirus pandemic, and now the main character in a children's book. Of course, I'm talking about Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Talk about the crazy is real. The crazy is real. The crazy is real. They made a kid's book of Anthony. First of all, let's go back. I would hate to be in mainstream news and entertainment. Can you imagine? Hey y'all, hey everybody, hey. Can you imagine having to be this fake? Put on, I may look rough, I may sound rough today. Okay? And I may be rough around the edges all the time. At least I'm genuine. At least I'm a real person. Hey, y'all, you love Dr. Fauci. Hey. My God.
Time to get uplifted. Today we are featuring a well-known D.C. resident. In fact, he's been the face of America's response to the coronavirus pandemic and now the main character in a children's book. Of course, I'm talking about Dr. Anthony Fauci. The book is titled Dr. Fauci, How a Boy from Brooklyn Became America's Doctor.
How a boy from Brooklyn became America's doctor. Yeah, Dr. Fauci. I can't.
Book chronicles the doctor's life and provides important information on vaccines for children. A write-up on the book calls it the definitive picture book biography for Fauci. It follows the doctor from when...
The definitive picture book on the life of Anthony Fauci for children. For kids, because kids love Dr. Fauci. He's the next best thing to Santa Claus.
He was just a kid in Brooklyn through medical school and his career working with 7 presidents. The book also has his facts about vaccines and provides tips for kids who want to be scientists. So the book is already available for pre-sale and it'll be released on June 29th.
So again, look at this woman. She's smiling. It's happy fun time. It's hey y'all, let's get uplifted. Hey. And they got to act. I hope and pray that these people don't actually feel this way behind closed doors.
I think that is fitting and perfect. And I love the fact that it'll be digestible for younger readers.
Exactly. I look forward to this. Dr. Fauci has become a household name during this past year.
Right.
We've watched the news, we've talked about it with our kids, and they're learning about it in school. And so it just provides a little more context and perspective for the little ones in words that they can understand and digest. So this is fantastic.
And it will inspire this next generation. I just feel that there will be scientists, doctors, epidemiologists, whatever.
So Dr. Fauci and his child's book are going to be inspirational for the next generation of scientists and doctors. Cartoon Town.
Come out of reading this book. I just know it. So
Absolutely.
I want to share things that uplift you like that uplifts.
I can't. Hey, y'all, get uplifted. Yeah. Woo, we love Dr. Fauci. So, this story that I'm just going to briefly hit on, and I'm hitting on it because crazy exists. Crazy exists. And I think that this is actually a story that shows it's not just the cartoon we live in, but people are mentally ill, man. Like mental illness is crazy. And people are calling this rich white boy justice in this article. I don't know that that's it, because Austin Haroff will be sent to a mental facility instead of prison for the double murder of John and Michelle Mishkin Stevens at their Florida home in 2016. Now, this is the person. He was eating the guy's face. Okay? Repeat that. He was eating the guy's face. That could be a crazy person. Like, where do you draw the line on what crazy actually is? Apparently, it's no longer shaving your head like an alien, stealing women's luggage, wearing a mustache and a dress. You don't draw the line there. Eating somebody's face? Maybe. Is that where you draw the crazy line? I don't know. Is it crazy that you're getting uplifted with Dr. Fauci and his child's book they're putting out there? I have no clue. The line is so blurred. By the way, almost 200 watching on YouTube. Let's get the thumbs up. Let's get 100 thumbs up, guys. I know I'm not the top of my game right now, but we're going to play some more clips here. And one of the things I talk about a lot is the Internet of Bodies. And this is a Rand Corporation clip. It's about 4 minutes long. I'll probably jump in here and there, explaining what the Internet of Bodies really is. Because when I talk about this stuff and where they're trying to take you, when we talk about biomedical tyrannies, and they tell you here that that's a very real possibility with this technology, that's what the Internet of Bodies means to me. Surveillance under the skin, total track trace database movement. All right, with these technologies that you can't get rid of. That's it. That's a wrap show. You get it? All right, let's do it.
In the 20th century, wireless technology integrated with the human body was nothing more than science fiction. But today, Wi-Fi connected devices like heart rate monitors and sleep trackers have become common parts of American life. How has bionic technology evolved so quickly from science fiction to reality? And what could this Internet of Bodies mean for our lives moving forward? RAND researchers are studying this phenomenon and what consumers and policymakers need to know as we veer into uncharted territory.
The Internet of Bodies, or IOB, is actually an ecosystem. It's a bunch of devices that are connected to the internet that contain software and that either collect personal health data about you or can alter the body's function. We think of the Internet of Bodies as this collection of all these devices as well as all the data that the devices are gathering about you. And in healthcare, it's Internet of Bodies has been around for quite a while. With the advent of the internet, it makes a lot of sense to connect your pacemaker to the internet so that your doctor can be automatically notified if something weird happens, if there's an anomaly. It's natural in a lot of ways to want to understand more about your body, how it functions, how well it's doing.
IOB devices could revolutionize healthcare. Unprecedented amounts of personal health data could inform treatment plans that are completely tailored to a patient's needs.
Unprecedented amounts of data in real time about your biology going to pharmaceutical and government institutions. Great idea. But brilliant. Yeah, really what we should strive for.
There are pills now that have an electronic sensor that let a healthcare provider know whether you have taken the medication.
Oh, you take your medication? Oh, you better take your medication. I know when you take your medication. This is not science fiction. This is now. In fact, after this, I'm going to show you some of the DARPA Pentagon scientists, DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, and these microchip sensors, okay?
Other things like precision medicine. So precision medicine is the idea of creating pharmaceuticals or treatment like specifically for your body, for your personalized treatment. And I think IOB could really help with that because nowadays a lot of healthcare is based more on, average reactions, whereas with data from IOB devices, you might be able to really more precisely treat a certain disease.
But the Internet of Bodies won't be a cure-all. In fact, the largely unregulated market poses risks to the uniquely sensitive data these devices collect.
First of all, there's the cyber risk of an actor potentially hacking into the system, whatever it might be. There's the privacy risk of all this data that's being collected, and the regulations about that data are really murky at the moment. And so there's not a lot of clarity into who owns the data, what happens to it, who it gets sold to, how it's being used.
No, there is clarity. It's wide open. That's the clarity, all right? You have no right to your own information. So forget about just bad actors. What about the institutions themselves that are inherently corrupt? That's a big problem for me. That's a big problem.
And there's even potentially national security and global security risks.
A few examples of these risks have already played out in real life. For instance, in 2018, highly sensitive information about U.S. military activity and base locations was inadvertently revealed by soldiers' fitness trackers. So this is a pivotal moment. what can we do to make sure we reap the potential benefits of the Internet of Bodies without risking our privacy, security, and personal autonomy?
Completely impossible. It's completely impossible. That's the reality. Okay? But they always spin it. It's like you're going to have superpowers. Everything's going to be awesome. Robots are going to do everything for you. Elon Musk tells you the Optimus bot is going to make it so you're literally going to be able to have whatever you want. It's all empty, false promises that are literally driven at our base desires, what we want to believe. We want to believe this. But reality and history reflect a entirely different narrative than the ones they constantly sell you. Okay? Just look behind. Just look into history and what they say. Okay? We play that Walter Cronkite clip, and it's an important clip because back in that day, oh, you're going to have 30-hour work weeks. Month-long vacations are going to be the norm. No, that's not what happened.
Consumers should be wary of IOB devices because as it's becoming more and more popular, all of this intimate data is being collected, arguably more intimate data than we've ever really recorded before. There's no clarity on what is being done with that data. You know, with an old mechanical pacemaker, there's no data that was being collected and stored, and you could look at a history of someone's heart rhythms. Because policy tends to lag behind innovative technologies like this, it's probably up to the consumers and to the healthcare patients to really be aware of the devices that they're using and what is happening to their data, and to know what the regulations are in their particular state, because it does vary so much state by state. Even if you think you're not interesting or that nothing will happen with your data, there are a lot of unknowns that I think we need to be careful about.
So, in other words, what she's telling you there is the notion is of I'm not that important, or what's another good way to say this? If I'm not doing anything wrong, I don't have anything to worry about. Okay, they're constantly trying to sell you on this idea. Oh, you're not that important. Who's listening to you, right? Bill Gates sits there and jokes about what the quote unquote conspiracy theories of wanting to track people. But the Internet of Bodies is real. It's very, very real. We already live in a track, trace, database society, the likes of which has never been seen in human history, at least recorded human history. Okay? Period. So this next clip is going to be basically Pentagon scientists telling you that, don't worry, we've got a microchip that's going to sense the COVID.
So this technology involves making the RNA, which is a molecule that provides information to the cells of the body to produce the antigen. This is such a different technology. It's very, very different from conventional ones. The main advantage is that with this technology, with the same production process, involving the same production of RNA, purification, and formulation, you can produce virtually any RNA molecule, which then translates into basically any vaccine candidate. So you can produce vaccines against virtually anything, both currently known and unknown diseases. So even if there's a new threat in the future, a new unknown virus, which is currently unknown, let's call it disease X, if there's a new threat in the future.
So this is a clip that is completely different. That's how on point we are today than what I thought. It's totally mislabeled. But what he's telling you is true. So if you, let's see, do we have it right here? I think we do. Yeah, we got it. We'll do it live. This is really part of the mRNA strategic collaboration program, with people like AstraZeneca, Merck, Vertex, BARDA, DARPA, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Pasteur Institute, right? And that's all here. And right here, let's see. Maybe I can get it right from that. No, that's not what I want. It's going to take a second to load. But in this, it talks about basically being able to sequence these things. There we go. Even in the cases when the pathogen or infectious agent is unknown. Okay, this is the DARPA program. That's what mRNA was. This is in 2013. They partnered with Moderna. I mean, take it for as you will. Let's continue with this guy.
With this technology, you can respond a lot quicker to produce a vaccine candidate. Both of these vaccines use the same platform technology, and if they gain regulatory approval, that will be a huge step, a huge validation of this new technology. So this will be the first vaccines, if they get approved, that get approval with this, that have been produced with this technology. So both require low temperatures, but the Moderna one is less low. So that means that it can be distributed slightly easier. So it can reach slightly more remote places. And, this low temperature distribution is especially a challenge in developing countries.
So yeah, again, I guess this was a completely separate clip. I hope I don't get banned on YouTube for playing a clip about that, by the way. I don't even like to say the V word on this at all. I hate it. So I've got some Rand Paul exchanges that I wanted to bring up via Fauci in the next hour, okay? Because I'm not sure I want to watch this whole thing with Face the Nation and lauding Fauci. I do want to play this guy here that is replacing Fauci, talking about his love for Fauci and how much he can't live without Fauci and how great Fauci is, and then their narrative that they're running with. But again, not a place for YouTube, unfortunately. Just can't play it anymore. So what I'm going to do now is I've got the central bank digital currency and social credit score system to talk about. And this is a clip from Davos a few months ago. We've recently been talking about this IMF executive also talking about it. In fact, we might play this clip first. Actually, maybe we'll play this one second. Okay, this is a newer clip, but it's right there, and it tells you that you have a programmable token system, which is a great idea, especially if we have the Internet of Bodies going, and that's literally integrated into your body. Forget about just having a device. You got nanobots rolling through your body, right? It's just going to be hooked into your biology, okay? So this is the next step for that. CBD, and I know, sounds like something out of a science fiction novel, but CBDCs and social credit. Here we go.
And I think we didn't talk about yet, there are two ways on central bank digital currencies. One is the wholesale piece. So basically our interactions as a commercial bank with the central bank. And here I would say it makes a lot of sense. This is new technology coming in. We can talk about it, advantage, disadvantage, but at the end it's an efficiency game and maybe it's a security game, makes a lot of sense. A completely different ball game it is when you start to talk about the retail central bank digital currency, not because it's digital. I can pay this digital with my mobile, has nothing to do with central bank digital currency. But I think the fundamental change is the underlying business model is as a retail customer, as a citizen, will have an account with the central bank. I don't have just an account with a commercial bank. I have it with the central bank.
Ooh, the central bank. Isn't that great? Centralized control. Okay, that's what they've wanted for a very long time. Again, a system where every transaction is tracked, traced, databased, taxed, obviously, but it goes even further than that.
Which has a lot of advantages for me. It's safe, it feels good, but yeah, there are some challenges.
Safe and feels good. Yeah, central banks. Safe and feels good. It's like a beer commercial.
with this, because the central bank is ultimately, it's a public office. Commercial banks are under a commercial regime. Central banks are not under a commercial regime. What about interest rates on an account like that? When things are going well, how does this look like? Oh, on a bank run, how does this look like? Is this accelerating the bank run because I have a safe account with somebody? So these are then the fundamental questions. That's why I think it's excellent to see that 90%, 87, I think, central banks are looking into that and try, and we need to figure out how that all can work.
So he's outwardly telling you here, the vast majority, I think it's 80, what do you say, 87, 90% are looking into this system. They want this system. And why wouldn't they want this system? Because it's a system in which they dictate in every aspect how much currency and what you can do with that currency you're allotted. Period. Wow.
But having said what is ongoing, I think we are now, for 10 years, 15 years in that new, call it technology, blockchain. We see now the market is collapsing. Okay, let's see in 5 or 10 years, something will survive. Something will survive, and I think we should all make sure we understand what that will be.
So let's talk about what that will be. This guy lays it right out.
The third way we think CBDC can improve financial inclusion is through what we call programmability. That is, CBDC can allow government agencies and private sector players to program, to create smart contract, to allow targeted policy functions. For example, welfare payment. For example, consumption coupon. For example, food stamp. By programming CBDC, those money can be precisely targeted for what kind of people can own and what kind of use this money can be utilized, for example, for food. So this potential programmability can help government agencies to precisely target their support.
Think about that. I mean, precisely target their support. Talking about a global welfare system. Talking about telling what they can spend it on via their food. I mean, talk about frightening and scary. My God.
To those people who need support. So that way can also improve financial inclusion. Of course, I want to end with a caveat, because CBDC is not a panacea. CBDC cannot solve every challenge in financial inclusion. There are some aspects of financial inclusion is not related to technology. For example, financial literacy, digital literacy. So CBDC has to work with other policies together to try to improve financial inclusion.
So let me translate that part about financial inclusion. That means there'll be separate rules, okay, for those in control and power. That's their out in the CBDC system. That's, they're always talking about digital literacy and knowing what information you're giving up. You're talking about a very, very, very minute part of the population that takes any real safeguards against this track, trace, database system, period. Period. Okay? That's the real issue. And we go along with it. We go along with it all the time. We're in crazy town, as I've shown you throughout this. We're in crazy town. So I've got this clip of Rand Paul, and it is Rand Paul back in May talking to Secretary Mayorkas about misinformation and disinformation. I was going through a bunch of clips this morning, and I thought to myself, this is a really good one because I'm constantly hearing about misinformation and disinformation. I mean, it's part of the regular vernacular now. It's everywhere. everywhere. You challenge the great narrative, misinformation, disinformation, and now, of course, malinformation. Malinformation. Wow. That's great. So here's Rand Paul being a champion among men.
And number two, is it your proposition that when the cartels spread disinformation with respect to our immigration policies to try to lure vulnerable migrants to our border illegally?
I think you've got no idea what disinformation is, and I don't think the government's capable of it. Do you know who the greatest propagator of disinformation in the history of the world is? The U.S. government. Are you familiar with McNamara, the Pentagon Papers? Are you familiar with George W. Bush and the weapons of mass destruction? Are you familiar with Iran-Contra? I mean, think of all the debates and disputes we've had over the last 50 years in our country. We work them out by debating them. We don't work them out by the government being the arbiter. I don't want you guardrails. I want you to have nothing to do with speech. You think?
Exactly. I want you to have nothing to do with speech.
We can't determine, speech by traffickers is disinformation? You think the American people are so stupid they need you to tell them what the truth is? You can't even admit what the truth is with the Steele dossier. I don't trust government to figure out what the truth is. Government is largely disseminating disinformation.
Yes, correct. Correct. And that's why I like Rand Paul, man. No one else is saying anything like that to their face in a poignant fashion, bullet point by bullet point. There isn't anybody else. There isn't anybody else. And if you are betting on ministers of real disinformation, for instance, if you think that Mike Pompeo is a good guy, I know that Mike Pompeo is speaking a lot of these conservative events. He's getting ready to run for president. This guy was the CIA director. Okay, we lied, we cheated, we stole, we had entire courses on it. Mike Pompeo ain't your friend. He ain't your buddy guy.
I was the CIA director. We lied, we cheated, we stole. It was like we had entire training courses.
I mean, think about how pompous Pompeo is. I'm gonna let him say it again. He says it. It's so funny. This has another one of those fact checks, because RT is the one that put it out there. And it's like, it wasn't an RT event. They're just the only ones that would play this.
I was the CIA director. We lied, we cheated, we stole. It was like we had entire training courses.
And now, he gets applause for this. And he tells about the wonders of the American experiment.
It reminds you of the glory of the American experiment.
The American experiment, the glory, Mike Pompeo, and the glory of the American experiment by lying, cheating, and stealing. Can you imagine if you as a parent and you're trying to instill values in your kids and their country, the American experiment, lying, cheating, and stealing, that's the glory, kid. That's how you want to raise them. Mike Pompeo. So we've been talking about the crazy here for some time. We just showed some World Economic Forum stuff, some CBDC stuff, and for those that don't know, Davos had this whole series about how awesome the Great Reset was. Okay, you've seen some of them, but they were targeting kind of like this millennial audience, and they even came up with a thing called the Davos Daily with some influencer, Lily Singh. Okay, and the graphics are over the top on most of them. This is a short clip, but this is another like, hey y'all, oh yeah, hey y'all.
What's going on? I'm Lily, and this is the Davos Daily, your go-to source for the biggest highlights of the Davos agenda.
your go-to source for the biggest highlights of the Davos agenda. It's got a crazy backbeat, huh?
From the top.
When public health issues become politically charged, like wearing a mask or not becomes a political statement, you cannot imagine how destructive that is to any unified public health message.
I completely agree. Wearing a mask is not political. It's responsible. Also, I break out all the time and a mask covers it. It's a win-win.
So I have zits, and I love Anthony Fauci. The Davos Daily. Hey, y'all!
Women in particular have been badly affected by job losses and extra burdens of care. We also see fragility in the climate and biodiversity crisis.
Oh, the climate and biodiversity crisis. They're making up words at the biodiversity crisis. The biodiversity crisis.
Those are existential threats, and those are getting worse. We are waging war on nature and destroying our life support system, and nature is striking back.
Obviously, Mother Nature is striking back. If my Indian mom has taught me anything...
Obviously, Mother Nature is striking back. It's obvious. I mean, look at this outfit. Lily Singh knows. And if there's anything that her Indian mother has taught her, you gotta everything's about your race, okay? My Indian mother. What in the world is this? This is the agenda. Hey, y'all.
Is that a mother will put you in your place. So check out my girl Greta. Tell it like it is.
Today, we hear nations and leaders all over the world speak of an existential climate emergency.
You mean puppets and losers, not leaders of nations. Puppets and losers, Greta. Puppets and losers are saying that.
And yet, instead of taking the immediate action you would in any emergency, they set up vague, hypothetical, distant targets way into the future. Targets based on loopholes and incomplete numbers.
Who do you think sends Greta like the email script to read? You think she's saying this off the top of her head? Of course not. This is the Davos Daily. This is the agenda. They're bragging about it.
Targets like net zero emissions 2050. Targets that equal surrender.
Every time I lose faith in humanity, I look at people like Greta and my faith gets restored.
Every time I lose faith in humanity. Guys, I'm never going to lose faith in humanity. You know why? Because people may suck, and they do. I suck sometimes. But really, humanity is an extension of love and your family and interactions with other human beings. Think about how empty life would be without other human beings. And as crazy as everything is and as dark as things can get, right? I smile when I get a text from my niece. I smile when I'm at the volleyball game, or I smile when it's Thanksgiving dinner time and I'm spending it with loved ones. And I think most of us do. And we don't look to Greta Thunberg to restore our faith in humanity. I mean, this shit is so corny. It's over the top. But this is where we're at, man. We're in a total celebritard culture. We have been for some time. Bent the knee and worshipped false idols and fame. Okay, and now we're in biodiversity land from influencers and millennials.
Thankfully, Greta's not alone, and things don't have to stay this way.
There is a very strong awareness by people that climate change is an issue that must be dealt with as a matter of priority. More than 70% in 16 largest countries want climate change and the fight against it to be the priority.
Like, where are these numbers coming from? But it's okay because we got a graphic on a phone where we're watching that video.
Unions already knew the crisis we face before the pandemic hit. The climate emergency, historical levels of inequality driving exclusion, anger.
Historical levels of inequality driving exclusion. Listen to these people talk. It's over the top. It's kooky.
And despair. And COVID-19 laid that bare. So we've got choices now. Will people be at the forefront with their environment of a new social contract, or will we see business as usual? So this week is very important.
She's got my vote. If ever it needed saying, twice. I'm gonna be real with you. If you're like me, sometimes hearing all this stuff can feel overwhelming and you don't know what to do, but the thing is, if we come together, we can all do something. It's so important now more than ever to pay attention and to act. That's just a taste of what we've got in store for you, and there's so much more to come. Keep yourself in the loop each day with the Davos Daily right here online on YouTube.
The Davos Daily. I haven't checked out the Davos Daily in some time. Wonder if they're still running it. That's got to be like a year plus old. But it's the same narrative, right? Anthony Fauci rocks. Greta Thunberg's the best. We're killing the planet. Human beings are terrible. Yada, yada, yada. That's where we're at. So I got another couple insane stories for you. Don't worry. Okay. Make it make sense. Woke professor of pediatrics says children should be banned from getting tattoos, but it's fine for them to have a sex change surgery and take puberty blockers. Okay? Okay? Like, Dr. Cora Bruner, a professor and pediatrician at Seattle Children's Hospital, said children under 18 don't have the agency to decide to get a tattoo. Bruner was commenting on a case involving a Crystal Thomas, a New York woman who was arrested after allowing her 10-year-old son to get a tattoo. And yeah, 10-year-old kids should not be getting tattoos. But hey, genitally mutilating them forever, that's okay. No tattoos. Yeah, and I get it. And you know, this is somebody right here who did the whole transitioning thing from female to male, but later regretted her procedure and detransitioned. I mean, that may be a possibility for a female. And I don't know whether she got like a double mastectomy before that, but certainly not an option for a male. Outrage as Children's Wisconsin Hospital hires trans activists as religious chaplains and spiritual care interns who believe that God is actually transgender. You can't make this up. There they are. They got crazy pronouns. They believe God is transgender, apparently. And look, if their God is someone like Baphomet, kind of is, right? They both genitalia. But again, it's not about transgender. It's about transhuman. That's where they are pushing this. Believe the hype, because that's the real deal. Okay? That's why we live in this clown show, because they're trying to detach us from reality all over and not allow you to question what's really going on. You have to believe that Joe Biden runs the country, not that he's a poopy pants puppet, period. You can't believe that, okay? Yeah, you've got to believe that Kamala Harris is actually qualified to be vice president, just like the baggage thief is qualified to be the DOE rep, the Department of Energy rep, okay? You have to believe that. You have to believe that... Sorry, guys. I am feeling rough. Oh, I don't think I've ever coughed so much on air. I hope by tomorrow this is all gone. You know, and there was a time where you had to believe this cough could have been deadly. It could have killed your entire neighborhood. Could have taken out grandma. You had to believe that. You have to go along with these narratives. Let's see. I wanted to go down the line here. A couple other stories I didn't hit. I should have hit this week. Larry Kudlow, Biden's climate reparations scam is a terrible idea. No kidding. It is all a scam, and it's not Biden. Okay, Biden doesn't run anything. He's just an adherent criminal, a generational, gangster frontman for these people. So, of course, he's going to go along with this idea of climate reparations, which is really along the idea of what? A carbon-based social credit score system where you are enslaved and beholden to it, period. Let's see what we got here. Man, this is the clip I really want to play. I can't get away with playing it on YouTube because I'm just going to want to say too many things. This guy's gushing over Fauci. Totally gushing. I also wanted to go over this, but probably can't say what I want to say about this over on YouTube at all. So you know what? We might be moving it over to the premium about 10 minutes earlier. In fact, I think we are, because I've got plenty more Fauci clips that I want to play. Rand Paul taking on Fauci. Rand Paul talking about world government. We're going to do that. You know what? We could show the fun deep fake of Klaus Nuttschwab as Dr. Evil. That'll be fun before we go, huh? We give the people what they want. That's what we do, right? Like that. This is quality right here. I mean, whoever did this did a amazing job with the Reface app, and Klaus, just fantastic, really. Okay, so we could play that. We're gonna drop off. We're gonna play some of that Face the Nation with Fauci as well, but can't say what I want here on these platforms. So I'm going to throw it to my producers, and one at a time, we're going to leave these other platforms. I want to remind you guys to come over to redvoicemedia.com/Jason, redvoicemedia.com/Jason. For $10 a month, you get myself and so many other great people over at Red Voice Media. They're supporting the broadcast. Thank you guys for supporting the broadcast. And remember, every day that we do this, you can still listen over at Podbean right now live through the whole show. And then 2 weeks later, we release the video. So Red Voice Media every day has a new second hour for me, Monday through Thursday as well, that you can watch totally for free, but consider supporting us. So Rockfin, we will see you later.